Hey, welcome to episode 59 of Talking Small Press Comics.
59, holy cats.
Yeah, with old Steve Keeter here.
Old
and
Steve Keeter.
Larned Justin, that's me.
Young Larned.
A young Larned Justin, that's very true.
He's over there.
And we are really excited today because we are doing an interview with small press legend Steve Willis, the creator of Cranium Frenzy and Morty the Dog, and a lot of other things that he's done in his career. And
a legend of small press, no doubt. I cannot overstate this. It is Morty right there.
There's Morty the Dog. Yeah.
Yep.
And he's going to talk about all that in this interview. We're really excited to do this. So we're going to get right to his, he does a little intro, and we're going to get right to that right now. So.
Hi everybody, welcome. My name is Steve Willis, and I'm here in McCleary, Washington. And I'm here to answer interview questions from Larned Justin and Steve Keeter for their Talking Small Press Comics YouTube channel. Let's get to the first question.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Now, I think Steve is going to read the question, so we won't really need to. So he's going to read the questions. And like he said, let's get to the first question.
Okay, our first question. When did I first get interested in self-published comics, and how did it come about? Well, when I was very little, before I could even read, I would draw stories, and my mother would caption them on the bottom. So I've been doing narrative pictorial stories for quite a long time. Then that was in the 1950s. By the early 60s, I was making my own comics at home. You can't really see this very well because it's in pencil and pen, but there are two rabbits called Boyd and Ronson, and they were not mass-produced. And here you can see this comic book was put together with safety pins on the spine. Then in junior high, I did have a superhero, Norman the Wonder Prune, and they were in the school paper, which was mimeographed. And then later in the 60s, I got into superheroes. And here is a photocopy of one of my heroes, the Streak. And some of my friends have these old comics for blackmail purposes. And the first issue of the Streak, which was a ripoff of the Flash, I wanted it to say in the origin issue, "Thus ends the beginning of the Streak." But as my brother likes to remind me over and over, what I really wrote was, "Thus ends the begging of the Streak." Our brother's great. Then I discovered underground comics around 1971, and my comic art totally changed after that. And my very first underground type comic was on mimeograph, and here's a facsimile of it. The original was actually in leaves in long legal form, and it was called Gimme Comics #1, and it was mimeographed. And I think I had the required picture of Nixon in a Hitler mustache in it. There we go at one point. Then the low point of my comic art came 1976. This book, Random Reflections, and then followed by the even worse in 1977, One-Way Flight to Anywhere But Here. And man, these are the worst comics I've ever made. And whoo, they're like the Limburger of my comics. In fact,
I've had a couple of comics that were real stinkers too over the years.
Yeah, I can't imagine any of his being real stinkers, but he says they are.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in the early 70s, he's talking about Mimeo.
That's amazing. Kurt Erickson. 1971, he was already doing small press comics, kind of.
Yeah, on mimeograph. Mimeograph is different from Ditto. Ditto was the purple method. Mimeograph was more, you had to type on stencils. And I never did a Mimeo comic. Kurt Erickson did. My friend Kurt Erickson. But yeah, I mean, but during those days, the printing methods were so primitive. Some of my books, I had a giant, like 90-page zine. It was like Om #3 and Jim Main published it, and is bled through. You could bleed through the pages. You could see the other page on the back. Some of the pages were upside down because it's difficult to work with these methods. It was really awful, but it could have been great. Could have been great. So Steve, we know what you're talking about. We all have those moments.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I've had those moments.
But anyway, that was interesting when he said that he had one comic that, how do you word that, where his brother-in-law would blackmail him because he had the comic and he didn't, and anyway.
He loves his brother, so. You know.
Yeah. It was his brother, not his brother.
All is forgiven. All is forgiven.
Anyway. Okay, I'm ready for his next question.
Next question. Did you have any early influences on your work? And I think I did, like everybody else of my generation. You know, we all grew up with Dr. Seuss, and who I think influenced almost all of us. But in later life, the biggest influence that I think I still carry in my work was William Steig, who was a cartoonist for the New Yorker. And he put out books in the 1940s called, like this, The Lonely Ones, and this, All Embarrassed. And his drawings were very simple, kind of like Thurber, who is another one I liked. And you can kind of see, if you look at these old William Steig books, you can really see the influence on my work, particularly in my Morty comic work. So in 1977, I had a breakthrough in a book called An Untitled Portfolio that was very Steig-like. And in fact, it was so much so that I even gave him special thanks in the title page. And I sent a copy to Mr. Steig, and he wrote me this very nice note back. This is in 1977. And one of the features of this book is a reoccurring thing, and went the boy, kaboing, kaboing, kaboing. And it went out through the book sort of like a chorus. And a few years later, I looked at a book by Mr. Steig, and he had lifted my device, except his characters are going hot, hot, cha, 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 or something like that. And I thought, okay, well, turnabout is fair play. He influenced me, and I influenced him, which I thought was pretty neat. And okay, well, let's go to the next question.
Well, it was pretty amazing that the guy from the New Yorker actually wrote him and then used one of his devices to do one of his comics.
That's awesome when you hear from one of your influences.
Oh, yeah.
From what he described and what he showed, you could see the influence. You could see it.
You can.
But of course,
kind of kept his style, I think, simple and but very different than anybody else.
Right.
That's for
but
sure.
Steve Willis he's totally original. I mean, we all have our influences, but you can have influences and still be very, very original.
Right, and he's managed to do that. That's sure.
That's for darn sure. Are you Sherlock Holmes or what?
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes. I don't have the flaps up, like Sherlock Holmes does. But my flaps, in case I want to take off, these would come in handy. You know.
Yeah, and you can see that Steve is influencing us as well. So I'm just saying.
Slightly.
Yeah. Happy Halloween, everyone.
All right, let's go to his next question.
The next question is, on a daily basis, how much time do you spend with your artwork? And how much time I spend doing with my artwork varies. Here are some future Morty comics, and I spend about an hour and a half each morning drawing Morty comics to a total of about 12 images. And this workstation here is called the Fun Factory. It's where a lot of my equipment is and my notes for future ideas, things like that. Then if I'm also working on a book at the same time at the drawing stage, you can add another hour or two to the drawing time, but sometimes I'm scripting. And when I draw the books, I actually do it at a different spot over here. And today I just finished the cover for Cranium Frenzy number 26. And the way I work is I drew that, and then I set up the next page with the captions and panels, and tomorrow morning I will finish it off with the actual drawing, pencils and inks. And then I will do the next page, set up the next page after that. It seems to be a system that works for me, and as long as I can keep up my energy, it seems to be almost a perpetual motion machine for me with drawing. So let's go to the next question.
Well, he certainly seems to be keeping up his energy.
He has an interesting way of working, you know.
Uh-oh, I can't hear you because I don't have my earbuds in. Something happened. I think my brain exploded and flowers popped out. Here we go.
Okay. I was going to say he has an interesting way of working. He works early in the morning every day, basically. And I wonder what the idea of is to have the script on a clipboard hanging on the wall back there.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely more organized than I am.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm so
a lot more
sloppy
organized
about
than we
that.
are, Steve. You're
Yeah.
way ahead of us. That's for sure. But pretty interesting to see how you do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a method of drawing, so I just draw when I feel like it.
Yeah, and you're way more organized than I am, and I'm,
Yeah,
you know,
maybe.
I'm fairly lazy, so I get around to it. You know what?
Oh, your hair fell off. Well, all right, let's go. Let's see what he says next.
The next question. How many copies do I send out of each issue of Cranium Frenzy? I print 100 copies of each issue, and the last time I sent one out, which was yesterday, Cranium Frenzy number 25, I counted 70 issues that were distributed. Not all of them are mailed, some of them are hand-delivered. But so that leaves me with about 30, there's my math, 30 of them left. And right now, here's my entire backlog of number 13 through 25. Number 11 and 12 are now out of stock. And now let's go to the next question.
Well, I print like 100 copies of my books too, you know.
Do you? Yeah.
But I end up with like 20 left over. I send out a lot of freebies.
Yeah, I think he does too.
Yeah.
And then he has a huge mailing list. So, well, he said, didn't he, that he sends out about 70 copies and keeps about 30 back?
Mm-hmm.
I understood
Well,
him
that
right.
sounds about right. But if you got a lot of small press pals, you've been in small press for a long time, like he
Oh,
has.
yeah. He's got a lot
you
of
know,
freebies. They're all free, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
But you will get on the mailing list if you send him a comic or stamps or something like that. But
And it's definitely worth it to be on the mailing list.
yeah.
Not on the mailing list, just walk around. What's it, McCleary? Just
McCleary?
walk around and you'll find him somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. And he's going to, he actually is, in one of the questions here, I believe he's going to talk about that. So we'll see that when that comes up. But interesting, you know, to develop a following like that and then, you know, just keep it up for this long. This is a long time he's been doing this. So
Yeah. Well, he's developed a devoted following, and you and I are among the followers. I can say that. This is one of the most talented guys I know of in small press. And
very, very funny man.
He never runs out of ideas.
No.
He mentioned energy. He doesn't seem to ever run out of energy.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
total
we'll go on to
respect.
his next question.
And the question is, are Morty comics mass-produced? And the simple answer to that is no. Every Morty comic is unique. Here are the Morty comics backlog I currently have. Each one of these is, you can tell some of them definitely are not mass-produced. They're on cardboard. I pretty much draw on any kind of surface I can find. Sometimes I have a backlog of a couple hundred, and sometimes I have no backlog. My goal is to send 3 with every mailing, but sometimes when I'm sending out the comics, I only have enough barely to do 1, and there are some mailings where when I'm done, I have no Morty comics left. And as you can see, some of them are 4-pagers and some are one-pagers. Sometimes people think the four-pagers look like they're printed, but they're actually not. All the Morty comics are originals. Here are some on letters. I guess you'll all have to get together to figure out what these letters spelled. So, let's go on to the next question.
I think that the Morty comics are the most interesting thing because they're all originals. If you get a Morty comic from him, it's an original drawing. You got to save it because they're not printed. They're all his drawings.
Yeah, and I've got a bunch of these
me
drawings
too.
that he did. But
He
if I reach over to
maybe 2 or 3 in with a Cranium Frenzy when he sends a Cranium Frenzy. Like he said, if he's got them, he includes them. So
yeah, it's all original stuff. So it's one of a kind, one of a kind.
Yeah, it's limited edition art.
Yeah,
it's not even like, that. It's
again
original.
That word respect to his fans, and he has a lot of fans. We're fans, and some of that stuff is just hilarious, and it's one of a kind humor.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the little Morty comics. They're and some of them, like he said, are a couple pages long, and they're originals.
Yeah, or just one panel, And I'd reach over and pull one up, except the banana might fall off my head.
Yeah, we don't want to lose a banana.
Definitely not.
No.
Might come in handy later.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to his next question.
The next question is, do you place Morty comics all over McCleary, or just in the bulletin board where Mrs. Bug-in-the-Butt goes? It used to be I would hide Morty comics in public places, clear from Seattle, Port Townsend, Port Angeles, down to Portland, and over on the coast. But now that I've gone into making full-length books again and sending them out, and my mailing list has grown, the bulk of my Morty comics go in the mail. So here in McCleary, pretty much the only place left that I hide them is, or I don't really hide them actually, I put them on display at the post office. And that is where the infamous Mrs. Bug-in-the-Butt reaches up to grab them and tear them apart. So I've solved that problem by placing it beyond her short reach, because Mrs. Bug-in-the-Butt is about 1 foot tall. The other problem with Morty comics is there are no more phone booths left to hide them in, or newspaper boxes either. And there's a lot of surveillance cameras out there, so it's not nearly as fun as it used to be. You have to really, it's like pulling off a real caper. So I hope that answers the question about the McCleary post office. And let's go to the next question. There we go. That's its usual spot. Mrs. Bug-in-the-Butt likes to destroy them right about here. And there is 390.
Okay, interesting to hear him say that when he was hiding the Morty comics, he was going kind of all over the state hiding them. I never knew that. I thought he just did it in McCleary, Washington.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
He said he was going all over.
Yeah.
And pretty interesting that can't do it anymore because surveillance cameras and there's no phone booths to put them in.
No phone booths. What the heck?
No,
it's amazing Superman still exists.
Yeah, but I thought that was pretty interesting. And then, of course, we all know about Mrs. Bug-in-the-Butt, who was going in to the post office, where he posts them now, and tearing them to pieces.
You think would she be a postal employee or just?
I don't know what she was. A nosy person, for one thing. I don't know what businesses of hers to go in there and tear things off to the bulletin board. And he said she's only 1 foot tall, so it's pretty easy to get it out of her reach. So he puts them up on top of the bulletin board now.
Uh-huh.
and she can't get them, which is a good thing.
Well, yeah. Well, some people have no sense of humor.
Well, apparently
This
she's
is
one
un-
of them, you know.
this is unfortunate.
Yeah. But
And we have
I
to
think
win
you
these people
fix
over, or
her
else.
wagon by putting it up on top of the bulletin board. So. Oh, Steve.
You're not going to beat. There's no way you're going to win over against Steve Willis. There's no way
Right.
you're going to win, man.
No.
The guy is unstoppable.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
You try to tear up his comics, he finds a way around that. So, all right, let's see what he says in the next.
The next question is, do I participate in mini jams? And will there be more in the future? I know in the 1980s and 90s, the jams were all over the place. I think those of us involved in the New Wave Network communicated and learned about each other through a whole series of crazy jams. Some of them were even full-length books. I did 2 full-length books with Brad Foster and another one with Jeff Nicholson, and many other jams. Maximum Traffic and I, you could kind of say it was a jam because he did the writing and I did the drawing. And then we ended the 20th century with a Modern Man jam with Mike Hill added in, and Mark Campos and Hilary Varda as well. That was a lot of fun. But jams are generally pretty chaotic, and I think sometimes the creators had more fun with them than the readers. In the 21st century, I have not participated in very many jams. There was one called 15 Heart Attacks that took about 11 or 12 years to complete. So in the future, I don't know. Who knows? Not me. And with that, we'll go to the next question.
But jamming with Brad Foster and
Yeah.
That's one of the greats, and
Yeah.
small press or anywhere else, So
Those were wound up being graphic novels.
is it Dave Nicholson? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
a lot of the great talents, a lot of great talented people have worked with Steve Willis, and
Yeah.
so Steve's been influenced, but Steve has also influenced others.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And, yeah. So.
Yeah, well, that was interesting. I really didn't know much about that. I'm glad we asked that question. So.
Yeah, he likes doing the jams. I just want to complete my look here real quick.
Oh yeah.
Ah. Yeah, this scared my one of my daughters to death. She said, "Turn it around. I don't want to see it." Okay. So,
painful to do that. Yeah.
It's painful. It's painful even now.
Yeah. All right, I'm ready for the next one.
The next question is not really a question. Lauren had asked me to talk a little about City Limits Gazette. City Limits Gazette was originally started by Bruce Crislip in 1980. It was a digest-sized review zine with comics and articles. It came out sporadically. It ran until 1986. It was a very popular publication for New Wave news and reviews, and it was a great networking tool. I was really sorry to see it go. At the same time that Bruce ran City Limits Gazette, I had from 1983 to 84 a serial called Outside In, which consisted of self-portraits by people in the small press and New Wave comics movement. I ran it until issue 14. I handed it over to Michael Dowers. He ran it for a while, and then the MU Press guys, Ed Vick and Hal Hargett, they edited it. And then in the early 90s, I believe, it went to none other than Bruce Crislip, who continued the title. And I felt like, well, you've got my old title, you should give me your old title. And he allowed me to print a newsletter and use the City Limits Gazette title. It ran from February 1991 until September 1993. It came out every 2 weeks. I knew at the time hard copy newsletters days were numbered because in the course of my work, I already encountered internet, even though it was in DOS form. I knew that it was going to expand. City Limits Gazette had a great crew of people. Our subscription during the time it ran got up to about 200 people who were very active. And one of our favorite things was heaping mock praise upon Bill Keane and the Family Circus, and we called him a genius and found deep symbolism in his work. Keane, who was a class act, signed up to be a subscriber himself, and in fact he even sent me this very nice original piece. Notice Billy has 3 nostrils. There's a whole story behind that, but I don't really have time to get into it right now with this limited recording device. So I hope that answers the question, and thank you for asking.
Oh, I can't hear you. Earbud time.
Earbuds back in.
Folks, you think this stuff is easy? This takes a lot of work, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
But anyway, the City Limits Gazette, I was kind of disappointed. I don't think I ever did really see a copy of that. Did you, Steve, ever see one?
I remember about it. I remember it. I think I had 2 or 3 copies a long time ago. A lot of my stuff got lost during moves.
And I had no idea that Bruce Crislip started
Bruce Crislip was involved. And Hal Hargett and Ed Vick.
Bruce at Space this year.
Yeah.
And I had no idea he started that.
Yeah, I'm very interested in Bruce Crislip because I heard about him for so many years, but I only met him finally in person this year. Yeah. And gosh, he seems like he's an amazingly he's got an amazing history in small press and alternative comics, and written some
right along with Steve Willis there. Yeah, amazing.
Right, yeah, Steve Willis, and they all go back that far, you know.
Yeah.
And there's influence and there's crossover between these great small press creators.
I noticed on the cover of the series he did of portraits, different people doing portraits. I saw Max Inc. Skinned Alive Boy on there.
There you go, Max Inc.
Skinned Alive Boy. Not Max Inc. Max Traffic, not Max Inc.
Oh, that's okay.
2 different people.
I love Max Inc. Max Inc. is great.
Yeah, no, Max Traffic was one of his names. He has other names, but back then it was Max Traffic.
Is that Max Inc.? Max Traffic?
No, Max Traffic. Nothing to do with Max Inc.
I don't remember Max Traffic off the top of my head.
Okay.
I know we have a lot of traffic.
He was one of the deep underground guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because of the underground influence.
Yeah. New wave and underground. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's keep going. He's got more questions to answer.
Movies have frames and comics have panels, and the 2 art forms are closely related in my mind, and I really enjoy my movie collection, which is on VHS and DVD. I usually have about 3 films going at any given time, and my television sets throughout the house, which are not connected to the outside world. I am pretty much limited to the 20th century in terms of my tastes, but other than that, they're fairly eclectic. I like movies so much that one of my cats, who is usually joining me here in this hallway when I'm looking at them, is named Jackie Chan. And the question here is, what inspires me to create? A little more than 2 years ago, my laptop died, and I immediately started drawing again every day. And that's what it took to kind of kick my butt and get me back to the drawing board. It was almost like opening a vacuum-packed jar, and my brain went, and I'm not saying I'll never go back to having a laptop, but not in the near future. I think in a word, what inspires me to create right now is mortality. Because let's face it, I'm no spring chicken. And with the time that I've got left on Earth, I would like to tell all the stories that I can and explore all the different comic alternatives that I can get on paper. So, mortality, one word. Let's go back to the next question.
Something us old guys can agree on. We want to get as much stuff. That's a lovely hat, Larned. Oh, it also makes for like a nice mask. If you want to have a COVID
you can
mask.
eat with this, and
you can eat a bib.
Right here.
Yeah, Yeah.
but it's supposed to be up
Yeah.
here.
Are you hungry? You want some bread, man? I can help you out
I'm
there.
all right. Okay.
I got
But
like a quarter loaf.
I mean, hey, I was interested because we know that he does not have a computer, and he did have one
No,
at one time. I didn't know that.
but he says he has like 3 televisions. I thought I think maybe he doesn't have internet.
He doesn't have the internet, but he did.
Right.
I don't know if he did when he had his laptop or not. Maybe not.
Yeah. But he has a lot of old VHS tapes and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And he
look
loves
at all the
movies.
movies he had.
Yeah.
All kinds of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
and three movies playing at the same time. I kind of been there where I have something playing on my computer and something playing on the TV, and I keep the sound off, and it's just, to have something
Have something going.
interesting,
Yeah.
while you're eating your bread off the top of your head, you
Yeah.
want to have something interesting to
Mhm.
watch, and so yeah.
Well,
Well,
that,
mortality keeps you going. It's true. You want to get as much done as you can in your life. You want to leave a lot. You want to leave, you can say a legacy, but something memorable, something that people can look back on and go, yeah,
yeah.
that guy was a heck of a guy. He was a talented guy,
Yeah.
which Steve definitely is.
Well, I believe him. He's got a lot more stories to tell, and I can't wait to see him.
I think so too, because it's like daily, and I'm getting stuff, and I'm so thankful. We're so thankful to Steve. We're getting stuff like
we get
1 or 2 items a week.
Yeah. He is
but-
putting these books out quite often. I don't think I could do it that quick.
Yeah, and there's no loss in
I don't know
quality.
how many. They're about 18 pages, I think, aren't they?
Yeah.
Cranium Frenzy,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. That's that's quite a bit to try and draw that quick and that
This
good.
this one has something he drew on the back of there goes the bread.
Bread fell off.
Oh well, this is on the back of a
Oh yeah, that's his cat food. Yeah.
cat food.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a Morty comic, right?
He
Yeah.
do something there. Here it is. There you
Yeah,
go.
that's a Morty comic.
And so yeah.
All right, I'm going to see what he does.
Now this question is, do ideas come to you in your sleep, or do you sit down and create on the spot? And the answer to both of those is yes. A lot of my stories come from dreams or dream-like naps, things like that. And the Morty comics, many of them are drawn on the spot. They kind of create themselves as I go. But for the real ideas, the ideas that really have bite to them, I go to this box down here. And then I reach inside. And then I get my idea. As you can see, ding! Let's see. I would do a superhero, a stick figure, antisocial guy. No, that's been used. I'll do a meditation guy who has a sidekick who makes wisecracks. No, let's see. Talking mushroom in Nebraska. That's all been used too. But something will come along. So, in the meantime, let's go to the next question.
Well, now we know where he gets his ideas.
Yeah.
Had it right there in that box.
That
That's
box?
amazing.
Just put a light bulb
Some
right
of
there.
some of his ideas have been used, apparently. But very cool.
What can you say? I mean, that's it.
I wish
Put
it
a light
was
bulb over
that.
your head,
I
and
wish it
that's
was
it.
that easy. I got light bulbs, but I could put them over my head, but they don't do much. Apparently, for him, it works. But
Inspiration,
plenty of ideas.
right? The inspiration comes when it comes.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been working a lot, and I haven't as much time off. Just temporarily, I'm retired, but this has nothing to do with this. It's just that I'm saying that I haven't had a lot of time to really stop and think and get ideas and do stuff. But if you have time, even if you don't, I mean, you could be at work or anywhere where that light bulb lights up on top of your head. Sometimes you have to stop and just jot things down. I know I do. I would jot
That's the only way I
down
can
ideas.
remember something like that is if I write it down and when I think of it. Otherwise, it's gone.
Yeah, you save it for later but write it down. Correct. You'll forget all about it.
Write it down. Write it down. Yeah.
And you got that inspiration. Don't let it go to waste.
Right.
So he certainly doesn't. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep on going.
Are there any favorite small press comics or zines that I follow regularly? And no, there are not. I am pretty cut off from the rest of the comics world out here in the wilds of McCleary and the coastal range of western Washington. But I do get a lot of comics in the mail, and I really enjoy those, so I guess those are the only ones I really follow. I don't collect myself, but for over 40 years I've been donating comics that I get to the Washington State University Comics Collection, which I helped start when I was there as a faculty librarian in the 1980s. And this box right here in the Fun Factory Annex, whenever it fills up with comics that I get in the mail, which happens about quarterly, I send it along to Washington State University. And that collection, as far as I know, is was the first of its kind on the West Coast, an academic library collecting underground, new wave, and small press comics. I have only been back there once, and that was in 1986. So as I'm told, the collection is rather large now and does get used. It was a hard sell at the time, but by coincidence, Robert Crumb visited campus and talked to a standing room only audience, and that helped me sell the collection to the administrators at the school. Like I say, it's the oldest one of its kind on the West Coast, as far as I know, and so especially in terms of the new wave comics, the collection is really excellent. Thanks to a lot of the my fellow comrades in the new wave who very generously donated a lot of their work to the collection, and when our old friend Lynn Hansen died, his collection also was donated to WSU. So they've really got a strong library collection of our brand of comics. So let's go to the next question.
Well, that's interesting that
Oh, I can't hear you.
all of those comics.
You got to remind me to put these darn earbuds in. Let me see.
Anyway, I was saying that was interesting that all those comics that, I send them comics and everybody sends them comics so they can trade with them.
Yeah.
And all of those are in that university collection. That's amazing.
That's awesome. And he said, Robert Crumb was the reason that they accepted his idea.
Yeah.
Before that, they were kind of leery about it, but it's good that they did. Somebody somewhere has apparently a huge collection now, thanks to Steve Willis, of all these small press and independent and underground comics, new wave comics. And somebody needs to save this stuff.
He says he's not been back there since 1986, I think he said.
Washington.
Kind of interesting. But they must have a huge collection.
Yeah, because somebody has to save this stuff. I mean, you have stuff with hundreds of thousands of print runs. You have novels by, you got Stephen King, you got whoever, But you got novels that are saved to libraries and stuff, but the small press creators, they're not such huge print runs. But they are a part of history and literature and art and all that. And they need to preserve as many as possible, limited print run or not. Someone needs to preserve these. And so what Steve Willis has done is an admirable thing,
really excellent. Yeah,
something we can all thank him for.
And important, very important.
Yeah. So, totally admire that effort.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to the next question.
Like my ribbons?
This question I like. Among the many characters I have created, which one is most representative of my own personality? Well, in the play Hamlet, the main character really has a big breakthrough moment and realizes who he really is when he jumps into the grave of Ophelia and yells, "It is I, Hamlet the Dane." And for years and years, I have denied any kind of connection with this guy, Morty the dog. And finally, a few years ago, I finally had to reconcile the fact that I am Morty the dog. And I had that same sort of sense of mission that Hamlet must have had. I knew I had to do more comics. This version of Morty the dog was penciled by the incredible artist in Virginia named Mike Cody, who New Wavers might remember seeing in our era. And I just love this picture. I don't have a lot of stuff up in my house, but this is just an amazing pencil work. So let's go on to the last question.
Ah! Ninja! The ninja invaded.
Has revealed that he is Morty the dog.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's truly interesting. That's truly interesting. So now, when you read the Adventures of Morty, and you're thinking, well, this is Steve Willis.
Oh, that's Steve talking.
Steve.
Yeah. I don't know if he wanted to give that away or not, but he did.
Yeah, he did. We got it here. We got the scoop right
Yeah.
here on the
Yeah.
Talking Small Press Comics show.
Yeah.
People, you got to stay tuned. You never know what you're going to get on this show.
That's right.
And there you go.
I think he is. That's interesting, though. That
It is interesting.
I did that pencil portrait of Morty. Looking at it on the wall there, and pretty neat.
You didn't do that.
I didn't do it. No, I don't know. I don't know the guy Cody. Not familiar with the name, but
Kind of sounds familiar. I've seen the picture before. However, you are capable of doing stuff equally fantastic artwork. Some of your pencil artwork is incredible too. I just want to throw that out there.
Okay.
Everybody give a big hand to Larned. Larned.
Yay!
No, he's over here.
Oh.
Yeah, he's gonna hide. But no, but that really is an amazing piece of artwork, and I don't blame him for those. I've seen it before. I know it's been printed somewhere.
Neat.
Yeah, I have
Very
seen
cool.
it, and it's really nice, really nice, and it captures the essence of the character. It's just as if Steve did it himself.
Yeah.
But it's from someone else, so I don't blame him
I
for
think it's very cool.
posting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I think we're getting close here.
One more question, I think.
I think one more, yeah.
Just doing a little work here in the kitchen. The very last question that I have is, what are my plans for future publications, or do I just go with the creative flow? Well, I do go with the creative flow a lot. Make sure, oh, good, they're starting to go. That's what we like to see. My future plans are to take Morty comics up to 10,000. And so that's my long-range goal, which I think I will hit in the first quarter of 2025 if I continue at the rate that I'm going. And then for my books, I don't really have any plans. I'm enjoying making them so much, I don't have any vacation plans or hiatus in mind, as long as I can just keep trying new things. Cranium Frenzy number 26, which is my next one, will be a little different than the books I've done the last couple of years. So that's exciting, and I hope to continue it. I hope to continue to make work that's obscure and esoteric and bizarre. And let's see how they're doing. Oh, good.
Well, that darn sure did look like the Buttercube brothers.
I think that was the Buttercube brothers being made right there around the stove.
That was them. That
Yeah.
was them. They always start out like that, and then they always end
Yep,
up
and then
like
they
yeah.
kind of wind up melting every time.
Yeah, happens every time. It's weird.
Yeah.
But
But
That's
that's
the
how
life.
they came about, right on his stove there.
so we appreciate the step-by-step process that you showed us. Put it in the pan, turn it on, turn the heat up, and
Right.
watch the
And then-
results.
And then draw the cartoon. Yeah. Very good. Very good.
Yeah,
I like that. So,
yeah. Good gosh. man.
anyway,
Where'd you get that? Holy mackerel, man! You look like you got freaking grass growing out of your nose.
I forgot to trim the mustache, that's all.
A common problem,
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
So, anyway,
So,
I think he is going to wrap this up for us, and then we'll be back
Yeah.
after that and wrap it up with our finished comments. So let's see what he says.
I want to thank you guys, Larned Justin and Steve Keeter of Talking Small Press Comics, for inviting me to be interviewed on your show in an almost live manner. I think the work that you guys do to promote small press comics is wonderful. And I also want to thank my beautiful cinematographer, Sarah, who has really been a trooper in making this possible. Without her, this wouldn't happen. So thank you very much. We'll see you later.
If anybody needs to be thanked, it's Steve Willis.
Yeah.
That was very good. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, we're very appreciative. That was wonderful.
We really appreciate him coming on and doing that. That, that's a lot of work. And in fact, I think it took him 2 days to do that. So
yeah.
So we were really happy that he did it. And,
thanks so much, Steve Willis. Thank you so much for answering our questions and for sharing the story of your involvement in small press comics, alternative comics, and the entire community over these decades.
Yeah.
You've definitely made an impact, probably made a difference. You've influenced people, and we love your comics. They're the funniest. They're just among the very finest small press comics out there, and we can't tell you how much we enjoy them and how much we appreciate you doing this interview.
Yep. I couldn't have said it any better. Yeah. So that is going to wrap up this episode. We will be coming up with, we have enough comics for another episode here shortly. And stay tuned. And if you're a creator and you would like your comics on here, we just promote them. We don't criticize them or anything like that. But if you would like your comics on here, you need to send Steve Keeter one and me one. And our addresses are in the description down below. I know that's a lot to ask, but it's the only way we can do it. And we really appreciate the creators that do send us our comics. So anyway, I think we will wrap this one up. You have anything else, Steve?
That's it. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Thanks again to Steve Willis. Awesome. Really appreciate your presence on our show. And thank you.